Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Here's a quick look at what's in store for you tonight.
The Nigerian Air Force.
Our cover story tonight is about China. It's about the country's defective products, but then again, there's nothing new in that. Now the Made in China brand has taken another hit, a massive blow for a country that likes to take pride in its arms exports. But the fact is, that's far from what's actually happening. One after another, we tell you how countries have complained about faulty war machines, and this has led to a major decline in arms exports. Tonight, we expose China. We blow the lid off its arms exports program when we also ask, for how long can countries rely on China's faulty weapons? For how long can they risk their national security? And also on the show for you tonight, Vladimir Putin praises the Make in India initiative. While we expose the Made in China scam, we tell you how the Make in India program is receiving praise from China's best friend, Russia. Russia wants to learn from India. About time, China does too. China has appointed an envoy to Afghanistan. We decode the message that Beijing is trying to send out. Is the Biden Impeachment Inquiry a classic case of misplaced priorities? What about the real issues that actually matter to the people of America? And a special tribute to an Indian army dog, Kent, who sacrificed her life to protect her handler. Our cover story tonight is about China, the scam called China. Beijing is exporting defective military equipment to the world. It is draining the military budget of other countries and sending them substandard material in return. Chinese jets have structural issues. Chinese radars don't work. Chinese ships have faulty systems. But now the knives are out and China's faulty weapons have misfired. Beijing's exports have taken a massive hit. Let's just start off by looking at the countries that receive defective military products from China. Just how many are we looking at? Far too many. And Nigeria is one of them. In the year 2009, China sent F-7 aircraft to Nigeria. Abuja realized the Chinese jets had technical problems. Many of these jets crashed or were lost in accidents. These were jets Nigeria paid $251 million for. In the year 2020, Nigeria sent back 7 Chinese jets for repair. And then you have Myanmar. In the year 2016, China struck a deal with Myanmar. Beijing was supposed to deliver 16 JF-17 jets. The first batch of 6 jets were delivered in 2018. Myanmar realized these jets were defective. The aircraft were supposed to help with interception, be capable of ground attack, except they could do neither. And if things weren't bad enough, these jets had structural cracks. The aircraft did not even have an effective beyond visual range missile or airborne interception radar. And Myanmar's junta found itself paralyzed. The country, after all, had paid $25 million for each aircraft. and China had looted them. In the year 2022, Myanmar was forced to ground the Chinese jets. Just tell me one thing, how is this not compromising Myanmar's defense capability? Tomorrow, if the country is forced to fight a war, what will it fight with? Grounded jets or faulty hardware? One thing's for sure, China will not come to their rescue. What will Myanmar do then? And the same question applies to all the countries that import military equipment from China. You are spending millions and billions in procuring weapons that you think should be able to defend your country. But what if that weapon stops working when you need it to work? What if the missile cannot be fired when the enemy is approaching? What if the tanks misfire? What if China's faulty hardware kills your soldiers instead of the enemy? Are you really ready to take that risk? Sure, Chinese military offers come with competitive pricing, also financing. But you should know that there are hidden costs in these deals. China will sell you faulty machines and then you will have to pay out of your own pocket to repair the substandard material. And even after that, there is no guarantee that machines will work. Also, there is no guarantee that the Chinese suppliers will be paying heed to your requests for repair work. Have a look at Bangladesh. Dhaka got K-8W jets from China for its Air Force. 9 jets arrived in 2014 to 15. Bangladesh then placed an additional order. This was for a fresh batch of 7 K-8Ws. But China delivered faulty machines. 2 of the 7 planes that arrived in the year 2020 had issues. And Bangladesh informed the Chinese National Aerotechnological Import and Export Corporation. But the Chinese response was rather vague. And the story does not end here. Bangladesh has also bought FM-90 from China. It's an anti-aircraft missile system. It was inducted into the Air Force in 2011. And soon, Bangladesh realized the system is defective. Dhaka found itself burdened with the cost of repair. It also found snags in the frigates procured from China. What's the point of buying these dubious defense products? Something 53-odd countries that China sells military equipment to must be asking themselves. I am talking about the likes of Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Thailand, Ethiopia, Central African Republic, Djibouti. Now, why aren't these countries ending military deals with China, you ask? Why aren't they sending back defective hardware? Is it because they are scared of the dragon? They should instead be scared of the insecurity that comes with doing business with the dragon. Have a look at Pakistan. It is the largest importer of Chinese defense equipment. Pakistan, in fact, accounted for 45% of China's defense exports between 2013 to 2022. A lot in this defense alliance has to do with the mutual desire to contain India. But how does Pakistan plan to do that is the question. By bringing a knife to a gunfight? Pakistan, for example, has imported F-22P frigates from China. The Pakistani Navy is now facing technical issues. The ships were not performing as expected. There are also cases of engine degradation. After commissioning these ships between 2009 and 2013, the Pakistan Navy realized that the onboard imaging device of the FM-90 missile system was defective. The display had faulty indication. The system could not lock on the target. And the ships also had defective infrared sensor systems. Also, the search and track radars had issues. So in short, the Chinese machines were useless. And guess what? Pakistan had paid $750 million for these ships. And what about China's own defense capability? Obviously, the Chinese are using their indigenous hardware. But can the defective machines guarantee a victory during a war? The fact is, most of these weapons have not been tested in the battlefield. But China is trying to sell these faulty machines to the world. One, to exert its influence through arms exports. And two, to open doors for the deployment of Chinese private security contractors. And number three, to obviously make money through these deals. China is now the world's fourth largest defense exporter. It trails the United States, Russia, France. But the graph is now facing downwards. China's arms shipments have fallen. We are looking at a 7.8% decline between 2016 and 2020. This is compared to the preceding 5 years. China's share in the global military equipment market has fallen from 5.6% to 5.2%. This is according to SIPRI, or the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute. Now here's a question. Has the great Chinese curse of huge exports and little quality boomeranged? And the answer is yes. The faulty weapon has misfired and hit Chinese exports. And you know what? It all comes down to what we keep saying in India. Made in China is equal to unreliable. Time and again, China proves us right. Chinese products don't work. Chinese policies don't generate results. Ask Italy for that matter. It is walking out of Chinese Belt and Road, or BRI. It's all a part of the great Chinese scam, one that's been ongoing for a while now. Let's just take you back to the year 2019, the year China exported the Wuhan virus. Beijing followed it by exporting faulty test kits. China also exported faulty and unsafe PPE kits. This was at the peak of the pandemic, the Wuhan virus pandemic. Can you ever trust such a country? Why then let it drain your military budget? The moral of the story is, buy Chinese weapons and it is not the enemy that will get hurt first. The purchaser could become the first casualty. Meanwhile, praise is pouring in for Prime Minister Modi's Make in India initiative. Even Xi Jinping's best, most intimate friend has lavished praise upon India. That's right, the Russian President Vladimir Putin has showered accolades on Prime Minister Modi. He asserts that Prime Minister Modi is steering the ship in just the right direction. In fact, he's gone as far as urging Russians to take a page from India's playbook. That's right. Putin commended Prime Minister Modi's policies, expressing his admiration. This was during the 8th Eastern Economic Forum. And during this forum, Putin specifically praised the Indian Prime Minister for championing the right course of action through the promotion of the Make in India program. He underscored the importance of using Russian-made automobiles, highlighting how India, under Prime Minister Modi, has become a shining example through its policies. Putin said Russia should emulate what India has done. He said, and I'm quoting, "I think that we should emulate many of our partners, for example, India. They are focused on the manufacture and use of Indian-made vehicles. I think that Prime Minister Modi is doing the right thing in promoting the Make in India program. He is right." And as China seems somewhat perturbed by India's recent announcement of a project aimed at countering its infrastructural juggernaut, the BRI, there is a striking contrast in Russia's stance. The Russian president is not just supportive, but enthusiastic in his praise for the ambitious India, Middle East, Europe trade corridor. He, in fact, endorsed it. Putin said that this project would not only benefit India, but also hold significant promise for Russia. In his own words, I'm quoting, "I believe that this will only benefit us. I believe that this will only help us develop logistics." Putin, of course, also criticized the United States, which is also a part of the key trade corridor project. Putin slammed America for jumping onto the last car, quote-unquote, by agreeing with the partner states on the creation of this new economic corridor. He said that even then, the project will benefit Russia. The India, Middle East, Europe corridor, unveiled at the G20 summit in India, is a significant development. It will place India more significantly on the world trade map. It is a first of its kind initiative when it comes to connectivity. The project involves India, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, the EU, France, Italy, Germany, the US. We are calling it the Golden Bridge because it stands as a viable alternative to China's BRI. And while China's Belt and Road Initiative is running into those problems, the world is eager to do business with India. And Russia, by the way, is not only impressed with Prime Minister Modi's Make in India policies, it has also expressed keen interest in sending a business delegation to Chennai. What's the aim here? To explore promising business prospects in India, including the development of an alternative maritime route, one that would connect Vladivostok to the bustling southern metropolis. That's right. Moscow's interest, in fact, was communicated to India's Union Minister of Ports, Shipping and Waterways during a meeting in Vladivostok with a Russian delegation. And during the meeting, the Indian minister also called for an Indo-Russian workshop on the Eastern Maritime Corridor, or EMC. This workshop, essentially, will give a common platform for discussions, a platform for the port authorities from Russia's Far East and India to have talks. Russian railways, logistics and shipping companies from countries as well as trade transporters will also get a platform here. We know that the workshop is proposed to take place from the 30th of October to the 1st of November in Chennai. And here's something that is sure to raise eyebrows in China. Russia wants to visit the Chennai port with a big business delegation. They want to explore opportunities and possibilities via bilateral discussions. And this is huge, by the way. As the Indian minister aptly put it, it heralds the dawn of a new era in the trade relationship between India and Russia. The Eastern Maritime Corridor is a beacon of promise. It is, after all, poised to give a huge boost to India's flagship maritime initiative, Sagarmala. It holds the key to unlocking the full potential of India's coastline as well as waterways. Let me just digress a bit here so I can give you the complete picture. The way things stand, the Sagarmala project boasts an impressive portfolio of 802 projects, with a total investment exceeding $65 billion, all set for realization by 2035. And among these, 228 projects valued at $14.6 billion have already seen completion, while 260 projects worth $27 billion are currently in progress. And an additional 314 projects with an investment of $24 billion are in various stages of development. Let's just for now go back to the promises that the Eastern Maritime Corridor holds. Its potential impact is particularly striking. It is estimated that this corridor could slash the cargo transport time between Indian and Russian ports in the Far East region by 16 days. It will reduce it down to a mere 24 days, compared to the current 40-plus days taken for the goods to traverse from India to Far East Russia via Europe. And the existing trade route between Mumbai in India and St. Petersburg in Russia spans 8,675 nautical miles, taking approximately 35 to 40 days to traverse. And in stark contrast, the Chennai-Vladivostok sea route for the Eastern Maritime Corridor covers a significantly shorter distance of around 5,600 nautical miles. A large container ship cruising could complete this journey in a mere 10 to 12 days. Undoubtedly, this corridor stands as the key to unlocking new vistas of trade and cooperation. And now that's the difference between made in China versus make in India. And maybe China can learn a lesson or two from India. And our next story is from Afghanistan. Earlier today, it hosted a ceremony to welcome a new envoy, Zhao Sheng, China's new ambassador to Afghanistan. And this afternoon, he met the Taliban's Prime Minister, Mullah Hassan Akhund, in Kabul to present his credentials. Also present at the meeting were several other top Taliban officials. Now, why is this development significant? Because China has effectively become the first country to establish diplomatic relations with the Taliban. You see, ever since the Taliban returned, every nation cut diplomatic ties with Kabul. Some of them have reopened their embassies and consulates, but they have not established official diplomatic relations. And China now has become the first country to do so. The question is, why? And the answers are several. You see, this move follows a series of business deals and investments that China has made in Afghanistan. In the last 2 years, it has struck several agreements and expanded many projects in the country. They all seem to be aimed at strengthening Beijing's foothold in Afghanistan, filling the vacuum left by the West, and not to mention gaining an upper hand over India. I mean, just have a look at some recent developments. 3 weeks back, there were reports that China is setting up a surveillance network in Afghanistan, a surveillance network. Reports said Chinese telecom giant Huawei had got approval from the top levels of the Canine network in Afghanistan to install CCTV cameras. And why does the Taliban want Chinese cameras? Well, apparently to mitigate security threats, particularly from terror outfits like the Islamic State Khorasan province. And as for China, the CCTV systems could give China access to foreign facial recognition databases, which it can then utilize for its own domestic security efforts. What sort of domestic security efforts, you ask? Countering separatist movements back home. You see, China's growing interest in Afghanistan is not just for economic reasons. It also has a security dimension. Ever since it returned to power, Beijing has been asking the Taliban to crack down on the East Turkestan Islamic Movement, ETIM. This is a separatist outfit in Xinjiang, which allegedly has links with radical groups like the Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State. And it does not end there. In May this year, the Taliban agreed to extend the BRI in Afghanistan. The Taliban's top diplomat, Amir Khan Muttaqi, met top Chinese officials to reach the agreement. And besides this, China is also after Afghanistan's resources. In January, China's National Petroleum Corporation inked a contract to extract oil from the Amu Darya Basin. And oil is, you see, just one piece of this puzzle. Afghanistan may be one of the poorest nations in the world, but it sits on a vast resource of mineral deposits. In the year 2010, American geologists said the worth of these deposits could be at least $1 trillion. 1 trillion. That's more zeros than the Taliban can actually count. What sort of minerals are these? The ones that actually matter. Iron, copper, gold, lithium, cobalt, uranium, bauxite, sulfur, rare earths, gemstones, you name it, Afghanistan has it. But just how much? Let me give you a quick breakdown here. A 2010 report by Afghanistan's Ministry of Mines put the country's copper resource at almost 30 million tons. And another report from the same year said that there were another 28.5 million tons of copper in undiscovered deposits. And that would bring the total to roughly 60 million tons, which, given the current prices at London Metal Exchange, will be worth more than $500 billion. Next, iron ore. The same report said that Afghanistan had more than 2.2 billion tons of steel-making raw material iron ore. And how much is this worth is the immediate question. Over $350 billion at the current market prices. It seems China is after all of this. The question is, what does China's growing closeness to Afghanistan mean? What could it eventually lead to in the long run, especially vis-a-vis India? I can think of two ways. First, it weakens India's position as an economic and strategic partner of Afghanistan. Despite the Taliban coming to power, India has maintained this role for security reasons. It remains one of the biggest regional donors to Afghanistan. With the extension of BRI, China could overshadow India's role, and it could disrupt India's economic and trade activities in Afghanistan. And second, given India's limited strategic depth in Afghanistan, the extension of the BRI will give Pakistan the upper hand. A smoother passage for the flow of arms and terrorists. Not to mention a better chance of using them against India. But then again, it seems the China-Afghanistan relationship is no longer dependent on Pakistan, especially now when Afghanistan has embarked on a decoupling of sorts from Islamabad. The situation at the Afghan-Pak border is tense, to say the least. The Taliban have scrapped the use of the Pakistani currency, and Taliban fighters are joining the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. The people running Pakistan are in a huddle to diffuse ties, but it seems Taliban has made up its mind to chalk its own course and future. And what is China doing about all of this? In one word, nothing. It is further giving the Taliban legitimacy by making its diplomatic relations official. It seems in this growing closeness between Kabul and Beijing, it is Islamabad that will end up being collateral damage. Let's now shift our focus to Libya. After Storm Daniel, which led to the bursting of two major dams, the city of Derna there has been the worst affected. In fact, reports say at least 5,000 people have been killed, 10,000 remain missing. Tonight, we are questioning the faulty construction of the dams, the very dams which were made to protect the city. The structures which are meant to absorb enormous amounts of water. So should we blame the heavy rain or the ones who built the dam? And who constructed the dams anyway? Why did innocent people pay the price for the faulty dams? Our next report getting you these answers.
This is what the city of Derna in eastern Libya looks like. Storm Daniel has wreaked havoc and two dams collapsed due to heavy rain, which unleashed a torrent of water down River Wadi Derna.
The dam had burst and the water had flooded the area. People were asleep and no one was ready. But this is what happens. What can we do?
As of the 13th of September, 5,000 people in Libya have lost their lives due to floods. Authorities are racing to bury the dead as morgues overflow and hospitals remain out of service. Libyans are burying bodies in poorly constructed mass graves.
These are the victims of the storm. May God protect us all. We are still looking for the victims. We call on all the young Libyans, anyone who has a degree or any medical affiliation, to please come and help us. We have a shortage in nurses. We need help.
Emergency teams are searching through piles of debris for survivors, but hospitals are struggling to admit the rising number of victims. Why? Because the doctors and staff are busy flushing out the water. This is just a glimpse of what hospitals are dealing with. Patients are being evacuated, and rescue teams are transferring survivors to other health centers. Libya is now receiving help from Italy, Turkey, UAE, Egypt, Algeria, and Palestine. Experts are pointing at the faulty construction of the two dams which collapsed. You see, the city of Derna has witnessed a series of floods in the past. After major floods in 1941, 1959, and 1968, two dams were constructed to protect the city from such disasters. But the Yugoslavian company which built the dams left loose ends. The lower dam, called the Abu Mansour Dam, was built only 1 kilometer upstream of the city. Such a short distance would leave minimal chance for the water to dissipate. This led to the city receiving the full force of the torrent. The dams had a core made of compacted clay, and the outer shell was made of stone. Such construction doesn't leave enough space for internal drainage. That can cause a dam to fall apart in times of intense water pressure. On the other hand, if a dam is made of the same core and outer material, it has space for internal drainage and reduces the risk of erosion. Reports say that the two dams didn't receive regular maintenance checks. The structures were at least 50 years old. Why did the authorities ignore maintaining the dams? Derna is now unprotected from further flood events until the dams are rebuilt. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Last night, something unprecedented happened in America. The U.S. House Speaker initiated an impeachment inquiry against U.S. President Joe Biden. We reported about this last night, and tonight we come to you with a question. Is this inquiry a distraction from the real issues? Is it another political ploy to divert attention away from the real problems in the United States? And I don't ask these questions without reason. America's epidemic of gun violence has only gotten more severe. The scourge of racism is still spreading alarmingly. Joblessness is at an all-time high. And the economy, something Americans took immense pride in, is riddled with red flags. And with so many issues plaguing the country, should an impeachment inquiry really be given priority? And let me just clear this out right away. We are not trying to defend Joe Biden here. We are only reminding American politicians about their misplaced priorities. This impeachment proceeding, after all, is just another part of the political calendar. And it seems to have become a trend of late. Every time there are elections in the country, an impeachment inquiry is initiated against the incumbent leader. Last time, it was Donald Trump. This time, it's Joe Biden. I mean, do they have nothing else to do? Also, just have a look at why the impeachment has been initiated in the first place. It's over the business dealings of Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden. The inquiry will apparently focus on whether the president benefited from his son's business dealings. Sure, this should be investigated, but aren't there bigger issues out there? Like gun violence, a fixture in American life. According to the Gun Violence Archive, there have been over 470 mass shootings across the United States so far this year. In every shooting, at least 4 or more people were killed or injured. Overall, a total of 25,198 people have died from gun violence this year. This is an average of roughly 118 deaths each day. I mean, 118 deaths each day. Shouldn't the U.S. House of Representatives be debating this instead? Shouldn't there be an inquiry into this issue instead? And if you just look at how many of these attacks were triggered out of racist hatred, you'll be even more appalled. Just 2 weeks back, a white gunman killed 3 people in a racially motivated attack. Shouldn't the politicians be discussing this instead? You see, my point is simple. The Biden impeachment inquiry is about politics, not about the people. And I cannot think of any way it will help the people of the United States. And the same applies to the many indictments Donald Trump faces. It seems to be another diversionary tactic, another ploy to distract the people from the real issues on the ground. Like joblessness. In August, the rate of unemployment in the U.S. jumped by 3.8%. And this increased the number of unemployed people by 514,000. And this has brought the overall number of jobless people in America to 6.4 million. And what are American states doing to fix this? Lying about the state of affairs. No kidding here. Have a look at this report. It says up to $135 billion worth of jobless benefits paid out by American states during the coronavirus pandemic could have arisen from fraudulent claims. In other words, American states inflated the volumes of the benefits being paid to the jobless people. Shouldn't this be debated in the US House of Representatives? Shouldn't there be an inquiry into this as well? The bottom line is, why aren't American leaders talking about the real issues? They are the first ones to preach others on morality, the first ones to issue sermons on human rights to others. They love doing that. What about human rights back home? Aren't they a more important matter to be deliberated upon in the corridors of power? I'm sure the indictments and the impeachments can wait. Now here's a story that will make your blood boil. A video that shows the inherent racism in the US police system. A policeman putting a price tag on a young woman's life. A mere $11,000. That's the price, according to them, of a young woman's life. At least in the United States of America, where police personnel are notorious for showing their racist, discriminatory tendencies, especially towards non-white people. In Seattle, a shocking incident prompted the police watchdog to initiate an investigation. Distressing body cam footage captured a police officer callously joking about the tragic death of Janhavi Kandula, a 23-year-old Indian student. The heart-wrenching incident took place in January. The police released a clip on Monday. Officer Daniel Orderer can be heard joking that the student, Janhavi Kandula, in fact, before I go on, watch this video.
I mean, he's going 50. That's not out of control. That's not reckless for a trained driver. But she is dead. No, it's a regular person. Yeah, just write a check. Just, yeah, $11,000. She was 26 anyway. She had limited value.
Can you believe that? The officer is heard saying, I'm quoting, she had limited value and the city should just write a check. She had limited value. That's the way this cop describes the death of a young woman. The sheer audacity, the carelessness, and absolute disregard for human life. And if that was not enough, he misstates the victim's age as well. And just the gravity of this situation is beyond comprehension. The heart-wrenching incident occurred in January when Janhavi was struck by a police patrol car driven by Officer Kevin Dave, a colleague of Orderer at the time of impact. Dave's car was hurtling at a staggering 74 miles per hour, equivalent to over 119 kilometers per hour. The officer, Dave's car, was recklessly speeding, was on his way to respond to a report of an overdose. The Seattle Police Department saying that they have released the video in the interest of transparency to shed light on this very troubling incident. And following the video's release, the Seattle Community Police Commission also condemned the situation, characterizing the exchange between the officer Orderer and his colleague as heartbreaking and shockingly insensitive. In a statement, the Seattle Community Police Commission declared the people of Seattle deserve better. Meanwhile, the Seattle Police Department is investigating the matter. It has committed to refraining from making any statements, that is, until the probe is concluded. Janhavi Kandula arrived in Seattle in the year 2021 to pursue her master's degree. She was dedicated to her studies, enrolled in the College of Engineering for a Master of Science in Information Systems with plans to graduate this December. Tragically, her life was cut short before she could witness her dreams come to fruition. Examining the heartless behavior of these police officers prompts a bigger conversation about police behavior and its impact on communities. Here are some key aspects to consider here. How can we train the police to ensure cultural sensitivity? After all, don't police officers have a higher moral obligation to be better equipped to handle high-pressure situations with professionalism and respect for human life? These are not just questions, they are calls to action, and the police must be held accountable. And we owe that to Jahnavi Kandula. And we have earlier talked about the US and its relation with UFOs. Well, Mexico is now making headlines for its alien corpses. You heard that right. The Mexican Congress has been shown 2 small so-called alien corpses. The ufologist has testified and said that the specimens are not part of our terrestrial evolution. From where did the alien corpses then come from? Are they actually non-human specimens? Our next report getting you the complete story.
What do you think of the specimens encased in glass? Are they remains of human babies? Are they some sort of animal?
La primera vez que se presenta de tal forma.
This is the first time that extraterrestrial life has been presented in such a form. I think this is a clear demonstration that we are dealing with non-human specimens that are not related to any other species in our world, and that any scientific institution can investigate it.
Ufologist Jamie Mawson is trying to convince people that they are non-human alien corpses. The alleged alien bodies retrieved from Peru have been presented to the Mexican Congress. So, why should we consider the corpses as alien? Reports say that the Autonomous National University of Mexico studied their DNA using radiocarbon dating. After making comparisons to other DNA samples, it was found that 30% of the corpse's DNA was unknown. Experts also said that both bodies had implants made of very rare metals such as osmium. X-rays of the specimens proved to be a shocker. Reports say that one of the bodies is suspected to even have eggs inside it. Former US Navy pilot Ryan Graves, who was also viewing the alien corpses in Mexico, had earlier told US Congress that UFOs pose a threat to national security.
We believe that UAP represent an urgent priority for both aerospace safety and scientific inquiry. Our focus is on improving public education of UAP, breaking stigma, and working towards better transparency and disclosure.
The US is facing immense pressure after the whistleblower incident, after former intelligence official, retired Major David Grush, mentioned the UFO crash retrieval and reverse engineering program. Democrats and Republicans are now pushing for more research as a national security matter. Reports say the UFO sightings observed could be tied to US adversaries. The Pentagon is still hush-hush on the topic, while lawmakers urge it to release more details and images on alien activity. How will US respond to the new alien corpses? Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Our next story is about a heroic act. The protagonist is called Kent. Who is that, you ask? You could describe Kent as a hero, a savior, a champion. Words fall short to describe Kent's courage and sacrifice. This is Kent, a 6-year-old golden Labrador, a hero canine. On Tuesday, a search operation was underway in Rajouri in Jammu and Kashmir. Kent was leading a column of soldiers, and that's when terrorists opened fire. You know what Kent did? She sacrificed her life to shield her handler. Let me repeat that for you. Kent gave up her life to protect her handler. Kent is no more, but the story of her supreme sacrifice lives on. Her bravery will always be remembered. We salute Kent. The story of her ultimate sacrifice has led to emotional tributes, and the Indian Army has shared a video of the hero Canine. The army dog was at the forefront of Operation Sujaligala, leading the group of soldiers when they came under gunfire. One terrorist and an army jawan were killed in the encounter. This was in the Narla area of Rajouri district. 3 more jawans were also injured. Meanwhile, there's another story I want to talk to you about. This one is about a dog breed. It's called the American Bully. I'm not making that up. This dog breed is in the news, and let me tell you why. Let me just break it down for you. An 11-year-old girl was attacked in Birmingham. She was terrified and screamed for help as an American bully grabbed her by the arm. 2 men who tried to save her were also bitten. And then the dog chased a 20-year-old man across a garage forecourt and dragged him on the ground. He was taken to hospital with bite wounds to his forearm, along with cuts and bruises. The dog was running rogue after breaking free from his owner. Now the injured girl has called for the American Bully XL to be banned. That's right, the government says it is taking the incident extremely seriously. The Home Secretary Suella Braverman is seeking urgent advice on banning the so-called lethal dogs. Do you agree with this? Those who have fallen prey will. Last year, 10 people died because of the dog bite injuries in England and Wales. There were close to 9,000 hospital admissions in England due to dog bites last year. But mind you, not all of these were because of the American Bully. And as of now, 4 dog breeds are banned in the UK. They are considered too dangerous to be pets. This includes the Japanese Tosa, the Dogo Argentino, the Fila Brasileiro, and the Pit Bull Terrier. The American Bully is basically a cross between the American Pit Bull Terrier and American Staffordshire Terrier. These dogs have a compact and muscular body and a vast grin. They are the result of years of selective breeding, and they are regarded as a specific breed in the US, but not by the main British dog associations. And the recent attacks were unfortunate, and my heart goes out to the victims. I don't mean to be insensitive to what they faced, of course, but I still want to ask this question. Is it really fair to ban an entire breed of dogs because of some mishaps? And do we even know it was the dog's fault here? Isn't it a dog owner's responsibility to keep things under control, to train their dogs well? There are a lot of misconceptions around the American Bully, in fact. According to the World Animal Foundation, people see American Bullies as the most aggressive types of dogs, but actually they are sweet-natured and even-tempered dogs. They are affectionate and would happily show a stranger love and not aggression. The United Kennel Club in the US also says that an American Bully makes an excellent family dog. Sure, American Bullies have been involved in some ferocious attacks, but would banning the entire breed help? What about well-behaved pets who have nothing to offer but affection? Won't it be unfair for them to be separated from their owners? Can we really judge the entire breed based on some incidents? And if the UK really wants to prevent such attacks from happening, why not set out a protocol for the owners? Why not test them if they are capable of handling an American Bully? Or simply don't breed American Bullies at all. But in any case, don't let an attack be the reason to mistreat dogs. And before we wrap tonight's show, it's time for our newly launched segment, Missing in China. This is a counter that keeps track of the high-profile disappearances in China. Li Shangfu, China's defense minister, has been missing for 15 days. Qin Kang, China's former foreign minister has been missing for 80 days now. Wei Fenghe, China's former defense minister, has not been seen in public for at least 121 days. Li Yuchao, the former chief of the PLA rocket force, has not been seen in public for 61 days. Liu Guangbin, former deputy chief of the PLA rocket force, also has been missing for 61 days. We asked the Chinese authorities to address these missing cases. The families of these officials, after all, deserve an answer, as does the world. And we will remind China once again tomorrow. On that note, it's a wrap on this edition of Gravitas Tonight. This is me, Molly Kampir, signing off, leaving you with Gravitas images. Thanks very much for watching.